What if I told you that the angel numbers you're obsessing over mean absolutely nothing? That reality has no meaning at all, unless you're the one writing the script? That every sign you chase, every cosmic number sequence you worship, might just be another cage for your mind? Because here's the forbidden truth. Reality is the biggest placebo of all, and the world is built to make sure you never find out. Buckle up. We're diving into a rabbit hole where spirituality turns into psychological warfare, and where you learn the dangerous freedom of making your own angel numbers. There's a truth so disturbing. Most people would rather die than face it. Life has no meaning. Let that sink in. Your job, your relationships, your biggest heartbreaks, your greatest joys. All of it. Meaningless. Not because your life is worthless, but because meaning is a lie. A story sold to you by the world to keep you tame. Because here's how the trap works. If they can convince you rain means sadness, that Mondays mean misery, that failure means you're a failure, they own you. You become a puppet, your strings pulled by invisible narratives. You're living inside a simulation programmed by someone else's definitions, and you don't even realize it. Think about how many days you've wasted in a bad mood just because a cloud covered the sun, or how many dreams you've buried alive because someone told you they were impossible, all because of meanings that were never yours. But here's the part that should terrify you. If the world can assign meaning to a raindrop, what else have they labeled in your mind? Your failures, your worth, your limits, your future. Meaning is the ultimate weapon of control, and it's why the masses live in quiet panic, obeying rules they never agreed to, suffering in prisons with invisible bars. Because as long as your meanings belong to them, so does your reality. But there's a crack in the matrix, and it's this. When you strip reality bare, when you look at the chaos and admit it has no built-in meaning, you discover something terrifying and liberating. You can make your own meanings. And that's when you become dangerous, because the blank canvas is where gods are born. Let me drop a question that might haunt you. Are you sure you're separate from the world around you? Or has your mind been trained to believe that so it can be controlled? Because here's the truth they don't want you to know. Separation is the deadliest illusion ever invented. It's not just a psychological trick. It's the cornerstone of how the entire system rules you. Think about it. The economy crashes, and you feel powerless because the problem is out there. A partner leaves you, and you crumble because they did this to me. Rain falls from the sky, and somehow your whole day collapses. Every one of those reactions comes from believing you're separate from what happens to you. But the ancients knew something different. The Hermetic law of polarity says everything exists in pairs. Light and dark, good and bad, pain and pleasure. But here's the layer nobody tells you. Polarity only exists down here, in the third dimension. Beyond this physical layer, there is no duality, no enemy, no other. There's only oneness. And that's why your mind's addiction to labels is the ultimate prison. Because the moment you say, this is good, or that is bad, you split the world in half. And in that split, you fracture your own power. Because the system knows a divided mind can't create. A divided mind can only react. So they keep you obsessed with labels. This person hurt me. This situation ruined my life. These people are my enemies. Meanwhile, they're siphoning your energy to keep you trapped in survival mode. Because as long as you're busy fighting shadows out there, you'll never realize the battle was always inside you. And that's the secret they're terrified you'll discover. Everything you experience, your heartbreaks, your bank balance, the random stranger who insults you on the street, all of it is your mind projected outward. The world is nothing but a mirror, reflecting the vibrations you hold inside. And the people pulling the strings, they need you blind to that truth. Because once you understand that reality is simply your own energy echoing back, you become untouchable. No more victimhood. No more waiting for permission to change your life. You stop asking for validation. You start bending reality around your frequency. And that's when you become dangerous. Because if separation is an illusion, then so are your limits. Let me show you the invisible prison they've built around your life. It's not concrete. It's not chains. It's something far more dangerous because it's silent. It's your perception. And unless you learn how to break it, you'll stay a prisoner until the day you die. Let's get surgical about how this trap works. You're living inside a loop right now. A loop so subtle, you think it's just reality. It's called the perception projection loop. Here's how it enslaves you. You believe Mondays are cursed. So you wake up expecting chaos. And guess what? Your coffee spills. Traffic explodes. Your boss breathes fire. And your mind whispers, "See? Mondays really are cursed." Congratulations. You just created your own prison. Here's another one. You believe people can't be trusted. So you walk into every conversation scanning for lies. You hold back your thoughts, guard your emotions, keep your circle small. And guess what? People start pulling away. Friends stop opening up. Partners feel disconnected. Until one day, someone betrays you for real. And your mind whispers, "See? I knew people always stab you in the back." Congratulations. You just built another layer of your prison because the human mind would rather be right than be free. And that's the real horror behind it all. We crave the comfort of our beliefs, even if they're destroying us. The world's architects know this. Governments, corporations, religions, media giants. They all compete for one prize, your perception. Because whoever controls how you see the world controls what you create in it. Let me show you how deep this rabbit hole goes. Let's say you believe money is hard to make. So your brain filters your life through scarcity. You miss opportunities. You dismiss small gains as not enough. And every time you check your bank account, it confirms your belief. Because the mind is desperate for one thing: certainty. Even if that certainty is killing you. That's why propaganda works. That's why political parties don't just give you facts, they give you fear. Because fear hijacks perception. And a mind stuck in fear can't create, it can only survive. And that's the end game of the system. Keep you in survival mode. So you never discover the truth that would set you free. The Hermetic principle of mentalism says the all is mind. The universe is mental, meaning everything begins as thought. The physical world is just a hologram projected from your beliefs. And here's the sinister part. The elites know this. That's why they pour billions into controlling narratives, advertising, social media algorithms, 24-hour news cycles dripping with crisis, not just to sell you products, but to sell you meanings. Because if they can program what you believe, they can predict what you'll create. And a predictable human is a controllable human. That's why they bombard you with fear, wars, pandemics, economic crashes, artificial shortages, not because those things aren't real, but because the emotional chaos they trigger locks your frequency in place. And if frequency locked in fear can't rise high enough to manifest miracles, it can only survive. That's the prison. But here's the jailbreak key they hope you never find. Perception cuts both ways. The same loop that traps you can also liberate you. Because once you decide to rewrite how you perceive reality, your projection changes. Let me give you a glimpse of how it works. Imagine you decide that rain doesn't mean gloom. Instead, you decide it means wealth pouring into your life. You shift your emotional state. You vibrate higher. You start seeing opportunities everywhere. And before you know it, money shows up out of nowhere. Or let's say you redefine Mondays. You decide Mondays are portals to new beginnings. And suddenly, Mondays become the most productive day of your week. Not because the world changed, but because you did. And here's the cosmic truth. Reality is nothing but a feedback loop reflecting your beliefs. Every perception you hold about money, about love, about your potential, is a command your subconscious sends into the fabric of the universe. And the universe, like an obedient servant, reflects it back to you. So the question is, are your perceptions building a kingdom or a cage? Because the day you change your perception is the day you jailbreak your own mind. And that is the one thing they fear more than anything. Because a human who masters their perception becomes unstoppable. Let's talk about the most sophisticated weapon ever created, labels. Because nothing traps you faster than your own identity. Here's the part they don't teach you in school. Every label you wear, race, gender, nationality, religion, even your trauma, is a boundary painted around your potential. And the more tightly you cling to it, the smaller your world becomes. You think your pain comes from being black, or being a woman, or growing up poor. But the deepest wound is believing that those labels define you. Because here's how the trap works. You're taught that life will be harder because you're black, that people won't respect you because you're a woman, that you'll always struggle because you grew up poor. And once you believe that story, you start creating evidence to prove it true. Let me show you how insidious this loop is. A black man walks into a corporate meeting. Deep down, he carries the belief, these people won't take me seriously because I'm black. So he's reserved, guarded, defensive. The room senses it. The vibe shifts. Conversations get awkward. And sure enough, someone dismisses his idea. And his mind whispers, see? They're racist. And he's right, but only because he was trapped in the loop. Here's another one. A woman goes into a negotiation. She's brilliant, capable, but inside she's carrying the belief, they're not going to take me seriously because I'm a woman. So she lowers her ask, smiles too much, apologizes before speaking. And sure enough, the man across the table offers her less, and her mind whispers, see? The world is sexist. And again, she's right, but only because the perception became the projection. And that's how the curse of labels keeps entire communities trapped for generations. Because the moment you define yourself as a victim, you start creating circumstances that keep you there. And here's the piece nobody talks about. Every label carries an energetic vibration. Victim vibrates differently than creator. Marginalized vibrates differently than sovereign. The universe isn't punishing you. It's simply echoing back the vibration you hold. And the system knows this. That's why governments, media, and corporations constantly reinforce identity politics. Because if they can keep you focused on your label, you'll never discover who you really are. And who you really are is infinite. See, the Hermetic law of mentalism says, as within, so without, which means your reality isn't shaped by your skin color, gender, or economic background. It's shaped by what your mind accepts as true. And the law of polarity says, all truths are but half-truths, which means that yes, oppression, racism, sexism, they exist, but they're not the whole truth. The whole truth is that you're not the label. You're the consciousness observing it. And that consciousness has the power to bend reality itself. Let's take it deeper. When the Bible says, to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord, it's not talking about death. It's talking about leaving behind your labels. Your body is your earthly costume. Your true self is pure awareness. And pure awareness is unlimited. But if the system can keep you obsessed with being black, female, broke, victimized, they've won. Because now your frequency is locked in a cage, and the system can predict exactly how you'll react, who you'll vote for, what you'll buy, what you'll fight against, all because they've hacked your identity. And that's why the stakes are so high. Because the real revolution is to step outside your labels and remember who you really are. A divine creator, a fractal of consciousness, God in disguise. So the question is, do you want to be right about your labels? Or do you want to create a reality where they no longer limit you? Because the moment you drop the labels, you become limitless. Let's talk about one of the most seductive traps in modern spirituality, angel numbers. On the surface, they look harmless, beautiful even. Signs from angels, messages from the universe, proof that you're on the right path. But beneath the glow lies a hidden danger. Here's the question nobody dares to ask. Who decided what these numbers mean? Because if you actually dig into it, every website, every spiritual influencer, every numerology book tells you something different. One site says 444 means your angels are protecting you. Another says it means financial abundance is coming. Another claims it's a cosmic warning to stay alert. How can the same number mean all those things at once? The disturbing truth is, angel numbers mean nothing. Not inherently. Not until you decide what they mean. And here's the sinister part. The spiritual industry doesn't want you to know that. Because if you realized you could assign your own meanings, you'd stop buying $297 numerology courses. You'd stop clicking endless angel number explained videos. You'd stop chasing signs outside yourself and start creating them from within. Let me give you a personal example. A while back, I kept seeing 111 everywhere. Receipts, license plates, timestamps. My instinct was to Google it, and there it was. An avalanche of definitions. 111 means you're manifesting fast. 111 means alignment. 111 means your angels are with you. But I paused, and I asked myself, what do I actually want 111 to mean for me? And I decided 111 means unexpected money is about to hit my account. A random PayPal payment, a surprise refund, a new client. And here's the wild part. Money started showing up. Small amounts at first, then bigger. Because the moment I programmed 111 with a clear meaning, my subconscious started scanning for evidence to prove it true. Let's break that down. The Hermetic principle of mentalism says, The all is mind. The universe is mental. Meaning reality is not some objective machine. It's an echo chamber reflecting your inner beliefs. So if you decide one means wealth, and you feel it in your bones, your reality will rearrange itself to match that frequency. Here's another example. A friend of mine kept seeing 555 everywhere. Every website told her it meant big changes are coming. But instead of feeling excited, she spiraled into anxiety. What if it means I'm going to lose my job? What if it means my relationship is ending? Within weeks, chaos started erupting in her life. Clients disappeared. Tension exploded with her partner, all because she accepted someone else's fearful meaning and programmed it into her subconscious. That's the danger, because every time you Google a meaning, you're handing over your creative power to someone else's blueprint. You're living inside someone else's spell. And the spiritual industry profits from keeping you there. Because uncertainty sells, fear sells, and chasing signs outside yourself keeps you dependent on them forever. Let's take this deeper. The law of mentalism means everything exists first in your mind. The law of vibration means your emotions charge your thoughts with frequency. And the law of correspondence says, as within, so without. So when you assign your own meaning to a number, you're not just playing pretend, you're reprogramming reality itself. Here's how to do it. Let's say you keep seeing 222. Instead of Googling it, pause and ask yourself, what outcome do I want this number to signal? Maybe you decide, every time I see 222, it means new opportunities are flowing into my business. Or 222 means my body is healing faster than ever. Or even 222 means my soulmate is drawing closer. The key is, make it precise. Make it yours. Then feel it as truth. Because the subconscious mind doesn't care what's true. It only cares what you repeat with conviction. And the universe responds by rearranging circumstances to match the new meaning you've programmed. That's not magic. That's how the architecture of reality works. So here's the cosmic choice in front of you. Will you spend your life chasing other people's signs, or become the author of your own reality? Because the same angel numbers that can trap you can also become your secret weapon, but only if you take back the power to define them. Because until you do, you're living in a reality written by someone else's pen, and the moment you reclaim that pen, you become the god of your own universe. Let's get real for a second. You've just spent this entire documentary learning how the world is rigged, how your meanings were hijacked, how your reality was programmed without your permission. But here's the terrifying truth most people never face. Knowing the matrix exists isn't enough to escape it, because the matrix doesn't live out there. It lives inside your mind. And if you don't learn how to hack it, you'll stay trapped until the day you die. So let me show you how to burn the whole thing down and build something better in its place. Step 1. Interrogate everything, every thought, every belief, every truth you've been handed. The matrix survives because you never stop to ask, who put this idea in my head, and what do they gain by me believing it? Because every belief is either a prison or a doorway. Step 2. Rewrite the story. The Hermetic law of mentalism says, all is mind, which means your reality is nothing but a story your subconscious believes. And stories can be rewritten. But don't just slap positive affirmations over old wounds. Your subconscious is smarter than that. If you say, I'm a millionaire, while your bank account is overdrafted, your subconscious laughs in your face. Instead, craft believable bridges, like, money is beginning to flow to me in unexpected ways, or I'm becoming someone who attracts wealth naturally. Small shifts, massive consequences. Step 3. Inject emotion. Because words alone are worthless. The real key to hacking the matrix is emotion. Your subconscious doesn't respond to logic. It responds to vibration. If you want your new reality to stick, you must feel it. Visualize your new belief until your body reacts. Heart pounding, goosebumps rising, tears welling up. That's the language the universe understands. Step 4. Hijack the symbols. Let's talk angel numbers one last time. The spiritual industry wants you dependent on their interpretations. They want you chasing meanings instead of creating them. But here's the power move. Hijack the symbols for yourself. Decide that 111 means new income streams open today. 444 means my body is healing rapidly. Rain means my bank account is about to overflow. Your subconscious will obey. The universe will conspire to deliver. And the elites who profit from your confusion will lose their grip. Step 5. Repeat until the world bends. This is not a one-time hack. The Matrix has been programming you for decades. You'll need to repeat your new codes until they overwrite the old ones. And every time you feel reality resisting, double down. Because the final twist is this: reality doesn't change first. You do. Your new perception becomes your new projection. And that is how revolutions are born. Not in the streets, not with Molotov cocktails, but in the quiet rebellion of a single mind who decides to write new meanings and refuses to live by someone else's script. And the moment you do that, you become unstoppable. Here we are. The place every ancient text, every secret society, every hidden doctrine has tried to guide humanity toward for thousands of years. The end of the story, or the beginning of a brand new one. And now you stand at the crossroads, between being the author or remaining a character in someone else's script. Let's be clear about one thing. Reality isn't waiting to save you. The Matrix will not unplug itself. Governments won't suddenly decide to stop lying. Corporations won't stop selling you worthiness in bottles. And the media won't quit feeding you fear. Because fear is profitable. Confusion is profitable. Powerlessness is the ultimate commodity. But the moment you start asking the right questions, who wrote the meaning behind my suffering? Who profits if I stay afraid? Who gains if I keep believing I'm small? You start breaking the spell. Let's look at how deeply the game is rigged. Religion taught you to look outside yourself for salvation. Governments taught you your worth comes from obedience. Media taught you to fear your neighbors and worship celebrities. Corporations taught you happiness has a price tag. But none of those systems can exist unless you agree to their meanings. Because everything they sell you, fear, scarcity, division, shame, is just a story. And stories only have power if you believe them. Let's go deeper. You want to know why the Hermetic texts keep whispering through time? Why they survived inquisitions, book burnings, secret societies, and suppression? Because they contain the one idea that terrifies every power structure on Earth. As within, so without. The idea that your outer reality is nothing but a mirror of your inner world. Which means, if you believe you're powerless, the world will keep you powerless. If you believe you're destined for struggle, your reality will deliver endless obstacles. But if you believe you are divine, your world must reorganize itself to match that vibration. Because the universe doesn't argue with your beliefs, it reflects them. And that's why the elite are terrified you'll discover the ultimate hack. Reality obeys the writer. Let me ask you, how many times have you held yourself back because of a label? I'm black, so people won't respect me. I'm a woman, so I'll never be paid what I'm worth. I grew up poor, so I'll always struggle. Those beliefs aren't yours. They're hand-me-downs, downloaded from trauma, from propaganda, from ancestral wounds passed down like cursed heirlooms. But here's the cosmic truth. The moment you decide you are not those labels, reality loses its power to define you. And that's the real revolution. Not riots in the streets, not political debates on cable news, not hashtags trending for 24 hours. The real revolution happens in silence, inside a single mind, who refuses to live in someone else's story one moment longer. So let's talk about writing new meanings. Rain doesn't mean gloom. It means wealth pouring in. Mondays don't mean dread. They mean new portals opening. Angel numbers don't mean what Google says. They mean what you decide they mean. Here's what the Matrix never wants you to discover. You're not just a character. You're the author. You have the power to rewrite your labels, redefine every symbol in your life, change the stories you tell yourself until your entire reality changes shape. The elites fear this because a human who writes their own meanings is impossible to control. So the final question, echoing in the silence, is this: what story will you write next? Because every day, every hour, every moment, there's no going back. So pick up the pen, write wisely, write fearlessly, and never forget, reality obeys the writer. Because in the end, gods aren't born, they're written.